Hi everyone, happy Valentine's Day. Welcome to part 2 of making a photo encaustic piece. And let me grab a little one here to show you in case you missed the last one. So this is the end result, a little print. This is a photo that I took on one of my film cameras. Clearly you must know what that is. And I'll show you the first step in the process. My last video I talked about the materials that you need. And today I'm just going to be explaining and demonstrating how I get the print adhered to the gessoed board. So I hope this is going to work, just so that you can see. So I've already cut out the extra paper, just so you don't want to have too much extra paper on there because you don't want to waste your adhesive. So I actually start by assessing where I want the board to be. Now, so find a place that you have a relatively clean surface. I'm using this kind of blottery thing because later I'm going to be using X-Acto knife on it. But you want something clean because you're going to turn your paper upside down. And when you get the adhesive on here, you're going to have it upside down too. So I kind of go through and I look to see where I want my piece relative to the paper. Now this is what I've done here is I've actually printed just slightly larger than the board itself, which is good because you have a little bit of wiggle room there. When I'm working with the 8x8s, it's a little bit more difficult because I can't print wider than 8, so it gets a little trickier, but we won't get into that right now. So we'll start with the paper like this. Get a pair of scissors that you don't care too much about because the adhesive gets all gunky on there, and every once in a while you're going to have to go over it with probably some nail polish remover or that sort of thing. So when you take your adhesive paper out, you pull it out, and so you have your sticky stuff right here. Now I see that this has kind of gotten a little dried out towards the end, so I'm going to go ahead and just take this part off. So you take your print and you put it upside down on, or the back side down, onto the adhesive, and then you cut it out like this. And you try to be kind of gentle with the way you're touching this paper because it is very sticky. Now this has been open for a little while, and it's a little bit dry in here because it's winter time, so I have to make sure I put it back down onto here so the stickiness doesn't just dry out on it. Alright, so you have your adhesive positionable mounting adhesive on here. So now you have this, you have your print on a surface that is going to be kind to it and not scratch it up, and you take the little burnishing tool and you just kind of burnish away, what you're doing is you are getting the adhesive from the roll transferred onto the back of your print. All right. And then you can feel that that's kind of left a little bit on there. I always rub it away so I'm not getting it on the surface of the print. Because when you get it on the when you get any of that sticky stuff on the surface of the print, it makes it a little bit more difficult to get the wax to adhere. So now I'm pulling this part off, and all the sticky stuff has gone from here onto the back of the print now, right? So then I lay that down, and I take my board, and I try to line it up as best I can with my lines. Try to get it like level, right? So then I take it over here and I can see, all right, I've gotten all the printed part onto there. And now what I'm going to do is this, I think what I do first is I trim off that excess with an X-Acto knife. Press the board down and just go around and trim off the excess paper. So that's all off of there. So now you have your print right on your board, and then you take this. Comes in the box of positionable adhesive. Now I'll tell you right now, if you got your print on there and something didn't look right, you needed to move it a little bit, this is still at a point where you could pull it up and shift it around. But that looks good to me. So then I take the burnishing tool again, and I just scrape it onto there. Clearly I have a little bit of dummy stuff on my finger. Now see, I see a little tiny bit of the adhesive got on there. I want to make sure I get it off there right away, because that's going to make it so that the wax will sometimes pull away from that area. All right, so now you've got your print all adhered to the board, right? Now, if you look real closely, you might see that there's a little bit of, maybe you trimmed it a little bit more, and some of the white from the gesso is showing through. And you kind of want it to make it look a little bit more polished. You can use, now my instructor told us we could use charcoal around the edges. I'm not sure I want it that dark. So what I've been doing with these is that I'll get colored pencil, and I'll find, like in this instance, a blue that might be like similar, and I'll just kind of take it along the edges like this, just so it looks like it's got more of a defined edge there, not just that white sticking through. I've been using colored pencil when it's kind of a relatively light print. Let's see. I'll try to match some of the colors as I go around. You can be creative whatever way you want to do it, or you don't do it at all. The wax, you might be able to build up the wax so you don't notice it so much anyway. But for me, it tends to make it look a little bit more, oh, I'm so sorry. Let's see if I can turn this around here so that you can see the print on there better. So now the print is all adhered. I got the edges so that they're sort of finished off. And what I will do next is get the wax ready to go. Now I can see underneath here there's a little bit of variations in the surface. If I had sanded, like I mentioned before, it would be smoother. But I'm not too worried about it because I'm gonna coat the wax on it. But you can do whatever works for you. I have a tendency to like some of the inconsistencies and aberrations, which is why I work with pinhole and, you know, not a Hasselblad. Although a Hasselblad would be nice. Okay, so that's it for part 2, which is adhering your print to your boards with the positionable mounting adhesive. This adhesive is not, I think I paid like 50 or 60 bucks for this, but it lasts quite a long time. And it's easier to use than any of the spray stuff, plus you're not, you know, using spray stuff. Yeah, so next I'm going to be getting the rest of these prints adhered to the boards, and then I will be doing the encaustic work, and that the actual coating of the encaustic and fusing it to the board. And that will be the next video.